Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, lesson known classic. That's episode number 2550 and double number 2444. Now, we have two Spider-Man series here. First up, we're going to talk about Marvel Masterworks Marvel Team Up Volume 7, which is the last one of these ones. Yep, the last one, where it collects issues 65 to 73 and 75 to 77. I'm also going to be discussing issues 74 and 74, 78, and 80, 81. The reason why, because I feel like getting out of this period. Now, 74, those of you curious, so why is 74 skipped? Why did Marvel skip this one? Well, the reason why is because Spider-Man teams up with the cast of Saturday Night Live. Yep. To take on the Silver Samurai, where his armor is very goofy in this book. Yes, seriously. And we have Stan Lee make a cameo in this book, which is strange. Yeah, and because of the fact that Marvel is not only legally related to the cast on Saturday Night Live, they can't exactly collect this. No, seriously, they cannot really collect this for reasons. And the not so primetime players, says like Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, Gene Carlin, Garrett Morris, Bill Murray, Lorraine Newman, Gilda Radner, and even Lorne Michaels. Yes. You're thinking, who's Lorne Michaels, might ask? Lorne Michaels, from what I've read about this guy, he is their longtime producer. He was a producer back in the 70s, left, and then he came back in the last 20 years. He's been a producer ever since then. And by the way, Silver Samurai last appeared in issue 57 of this very book. Yep. And his next appearance right after this issue will pop up in issue 84. We'll talk about that in the future. You're thinking, Silver Samurai, isn't he an X-Men character? Kind of, yes. But he made his first appearance in the pages of Daredevil. Yeah, he's a Steve Gerber character. Yep. But what about issue 65, the very first issue of this book? Well, 65 is no wonder for two things. Number one is the first American appearance of Captain Britain. Yep, first time. I mean, last appearance back, well, chronologically, and, well, except before, but, yeah. There's also the first appearance of Arcade. Yep, Arcade. Miss Lockie, Mr. Chambers, and Murder World. Yep, this is where it basically makes his debut here. Yeah, it's a very interesting two-parter. Mostly put in the case of Captain Britain. He's not wearing his traditional uniform at this point in time. He's wearing this thing, which I think he wears this now as Captain Avalon. But yeah, that's not his regular attire. That was basically, this is a different one. Yeah, it's a quick two-parter that just introduced him to Arcade. And then, like, right after this, basically, Spider-Man drops off Arcade pages of Kenny X-Men. And from that point forward, he's the X-Men villain. Yes, seriously. That's the strange thing about Arcade. It's like he's here for this quick two-parter, and then he's never seen again for Spider-Man. Spider-Man never faced him ever again. And in issue 67, teams with Tiger are taking on Kraven the Hunter. Tiger Horse has been brainwashed. Tiger last appeared in issue Fantastic Four, issue 184. Her next appearance right after this one issue would be in Marvel Premiere 42. Yep. Kraven the Hunter, meanwhile, his last appearance was in Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 2. And that came out in October 76. This was basically like the following year. And then right after this one issue, no, I highly doubt basically that was his next appearance. Let's see, after this one issue, and this was Marvel Team Up. Let's see here. Okay, after this one issue, his next appearance would actually be in Amazing Spider-Man number 209. Yeah, that's the strange thing about Kraven Hunter. Later became a Kazar villain for some reason. Yep. And then 68. He teams up with Man-Thing. They got a debuting Dayspire. Also, Jennifer Kale, character from his own book, is here too. Man-Thing previously appeared in Howard the Duck number 24. His next appearance would be in Mar 243. Yep. Dice Spear is a character who's still around this very day. Yeah, this comic is actually his debut appearance. Yep, and after this one issue here, his next appearance will be in Doctor Strange 32, which came out in 1970, roughly a year later. Yeah, I do not know why the 1 year gap between him. I don't know why, it's weird. And then 69 teams with Havoc in a great two-parter. We also teams with Thor take on the Living Pharaoh, aka also the Living Monolith as well. He last appeared in Supernatural Thrillers number 9. 3 years prior to that. Yeah, in case you're curious about the Living Pharaoh, he's no enemy of Havoc. And he's actually a sole bad guy. And he's just here for a quick two-parter. And after this two-parter wraps up, his next appearance will not be until Pyramid Iron Fist number 757, which comes a year later. Yep. And in issue 71, he teams up with the Falcon and Captain America take on the Plant Man. Yes, seriously, the Plant Man, who last appeared back in Defenders 37, 2 years prior to this one. As in the case of the Falcon, his last appearance was in Captain America 220. His next appearance after this one would be in Defenders 62. Cap, meanwhile, previous appearance was in Captain America 221, and his next appearance would be in Avengers A number 8. In issue 72, he teams up with Iron Man to take on Whiplash and the Wrath. Yeah, the Wrath is back in this book. Yeah, his last appearance was back in Iron Man 109. Yes, seriously. Whiplash was Iron Man 72, roughly 4 years prior to this. Oh, to the manga. Yeah, really interesting one. Then we have Spider-Man Daredevil take on the Owl. Alright, that was 74. 75. He teams with Power Man to take on the Rat Pack. In 76, yes, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange team up to take on Silver Dagger in a two-parter, which concludes with also a team up with Carol Danvers, aka Miss Marvel. Yeah, and by the way, this gets followed up in issue 8081, where the effects of this two-parter is followed up in this two-parter, where Doctor Strange becomes a werewolf. Yes, so they bring in Zatanna, Damon Hillstrom's hot half-sister, to basically cure Doctor Strange, and then she dies. Before I continue with that, Spider-Man teams up with Wonder Man in issue 78, take on the Griffin. His previous appearance was in Champions, number 10. Of course, Griffin will return in issue of West Coast Avengers. 79 I'm not going to discuss because it's an issue where Spider-Man teams up with Red Sonja, a book that was collected in the book Spider-Man Red Sonja team up book. So yeah, Zatanna dies, and after this one issue, she later gets resurrected in Hellstrom Prince of Lies number 10 in 1983, roughly about 14 years later. Yeah. Oh, in case you're curious though, part of this two-parter, her last appearance was in Marvel Preview number 7. Yep. And a lot of these issues are written by Chris Claremont. Some of you saying, really? Chris Claremont? Yep. Chris Claremont did issue 65. I think he did 66 as well. Yeah, Chris Claremont's the writer of these issues. If you're really curious, like, how much book did he write? Chris Claremont himself would write, for this particular series, he did issues basically for there in the Marvel Masterworks book, he did 65 to 70. He didn't do 71, 70, 71, 73. He did do 74, 77. And he came back for 79 and to about 81. But you think, okay, who did 71? 71. Shoot, that's not what I want there. 71 was written by Bill Cuckrell. 72 is Bill Mantlo. And what about 78? Since Chris coming to write that one, who had 78? Bill Kirkle again. You're probably thinking, who the heck is Bill Kirkle? Yeah, he didn't do very much Marvel per se. Not really. Like, aside from writing 2 issues of Marvel Team-Up, he also did an issue of Doctor Strange, and that's it. Yeah, not very big name writer per se, but I think Marvel probably brought this guy in to be a fill-in writer. That's better. He sadly is no longer alive. He passed away roughly about 13 years ago this coming December. Yep. But yeah, Marvel Team-Up, a lot of fun. I give these issues roughly a 10 out of 10. Next up, we have is Spider-Woman. Now, Spider-Woman, this course comes with the third volume, discussing all the issues for this book, 18 issues except for one issue. Issue number 9, because it's collecting trade. This whole book was written by John Byrne. The artwork was done by 2 different artists, Brett Sears and Graham Nolan. Now, this book, you read it as of recently, you're thinking, the way this book, all the characters look like, it seems some of them out of the will be coming out really soon this year. I'm sure it's supposed to be inspired by it. Now, this comes after the events of Gathering the Five and the final chapter. And also the book, Spider-Man had been relaunched for the first time ever at this point in time. So, Spider-Woman does not have a definitive costume in this book. Nope. Over the course of 18 issues, she goes to 5 costumes in 18 issues. 5. Do not know why, but she does. There's a black and red costume. There is a variant of the Spider-Man costume. It's a female with a ponytail sticking out of it. It's like her costume sort of a variant of Jessica Drew. Also, Madam Web is a supporting character in this book. She's in pretty much almost the entire series. Also, thanks to Gathering 5, she was granted the distinction of having eternal youth, which was later undone by different writers years later. And Jessica Drew doesn't have powers anymore. Julia Carpenter, of course, they mentioned the whole thing about her daughter, who does not appear in this book at all. And I kind of get the reason why this book is not collected and trade, because the main villain of this book is kind of a gross, disgusting thing. Like, there's also this evil Spider-Woman appears in the book for a few issues, Charlotte Webb, Madam Web's granddaughter. Yeah. It's like basically John Byrne had plans for her, but it's like, what the heck are you supposed to do with this one-shot character, Charlotte Witter? Yes. Who technically made first appearance issue 5 of Amazing Spider-Man, the relaunch, and she appeared just for about 4 issues of this whole book. Her last appearance was issue 9, as part of a crossover with Spider-Man. Yep. Excuse me. Yeah, and basically, this book itself came basically as part of Backdoor Pop issue 5, Amazing Spider-Man. So John Byrne basically spun this up at his own time because Howard Mankey was writing Amazing Spider-Man and Peter Parker Spider-Man at this point in time, so he decided to do a spin-off book for him. Jameson is sort of a supporting character in this book. They also do a Dr. Octopus in here. There's also 2 particular villains. 2 twins, Flesh and Bones. Flesh is this woman who has no bones, who runs around and absorbs people. And at the period issue 3, she's like a main villain in this book for almost the entire run. Bones herself, her sister, Bonnie Bliss, Bonnie Bliss, Elizabeth Bliss. Her twin sister is Bones. Yeah, and apparently the whole thing is that, they also briefly merge and Spider-Man becomes old. It's weird. I'm not sure what John Byrne's fascination with these two characters were, Flesh and Bones. Yeah, Bones only appeared, her first appearance was in Miss America. Yeah, apparently as a retcon, apparently it was Miss America number 9, 90. Her experience was issue 3 and 4, and then she popped up again for the last few issues of this book, and that was sadly it. Is this a terrible book, you might be asking? No, it isn't. Manny Franklin herself doesn't really do anything after this book wraps up. Not really, no. Like, okay, so right after this book wraps up, what does she do? Well, right after this, she popped up in Alias as a recurring character for a handful of issues. Yeah, Bendis basically dug her up after. You think, okay, how long had it been since this book ended? It's only been about 2 years. Pops up in that book, and then she appears in the miniseries The Loners. Yep, also appeared in Marvel Universe at the end. The Loners comes out roughly in the year 2007, roughly 5 years after Alias. And then her very next appearance is 2 years later in Amazing Spider-Man 611. And then she's here for Grim Hunt, the saga, and then she gets killed off in Amazing Spider-Man 630. Yep, she gets killed off here. Yeah, so not 630. It was basically in 634. They killed her off in the opening issue of the Grim Hunt storyline. Yep, they did. If you want to blame somebody for killing her off, it was Joe Kelly. He wrote the story, basically killed her off. And after that, she remained dead until Clone Conspiracy, which came out in 2016. Which I should point out, though, she was dead for 6 years, and then she pops up in the issues of Silk. And then, sadly, she dies at the end of the Clone Conspiracy tie-in. Which also was her aunt's death as well. When she got briefly revived. And that, sadly, was it for her. So, with this book here, not much left to review for her. Just Lowe's miniseries, the only thing left to go. And Contest of Champions 2. Yeah. I mean, her first appearance was actually during the whole Gathering of 5 stuff. Now, the whole thing with her is that she's Jameson's niece. Now, here's the strange thing about this whole thing when she died. Spider-Man never told Jameson that his niece was murdered by Sasha Kravinoff. Nope. Never. We never had a scene of Spider-Man paying a visit to his longtime nemesis, J. Jonah Jameson, which at the time, when this happened, he was mayor of New York at this period of time. And he couldn't, stop by City Hall and say, hey, Jameson, I'm sorry, your niece was murdered by Kraven the Hunter. By Sasha Kravinoff, Kraven the Hunter's widow. Oh, Kraven the Hunter's alive. We never got seen in that at all. I tend to wonder, though, why was this scene ever written? The fact that Manny Franklin died. What was the point killing her off in the first place? It's like whatever plans they had for her got thrown out the window once the book got canceled, presumably due to low sales. My guess is people were not fans of the Flesh and Bone villain. That's probably what, in my opinion, this is probably what killed the book. Yes, these two villains. Her fighting Octopus, that was good. But her fighting these Flesh and Bone twin sisters, all because their sister was overweight, Yeah, and of course, let's have the two merge and have her. It's a really bizarre book. Is it terrible? No. No, it is. It's just bizarre. I mean, I love the artwork. I bet Graham Nolan, he's great this art. Him and Brad Sears do an excellent job with the artwork for this book. Yeah, Graham Nolan does like the middle set of issues, and of course, Brad Sears the beginning and the end of the issues, but it is something, though, the fact that this book managed to last as long as it did. It is also, fun fact, of all the volumes that were ongoing, this actually is slightly longer than Jessica Drew's second volume of Spider-Woman. Yeah, that was only 10 issues. This is only 18 issues. And her last book that came out, now, for the longest time, until the recent book came out, before the Gang War tie-in, this book was second longest volume of the entire series. Not even her third volume was as long. That was like 17 issues. This was 18 issues. 18. So for a period of 20 years, this had the distinction of being the second longest Spider-Woman volume. And this volume is not counted as part of the Spider-Woman numbering when the book was acknowledged issue 100, issue 5 of the previous volume of the series. So, with this particular book reviewed, what's left? Well, this might surprise you. A mini-series, 2 mini-series, and that's pretty much it. The first one is Spider-Man Origin. Gotta discuss that one. And Spider-Man Volume 4. The Bendis run. The short-lived Bendis run. I'll be discussing this one decisively because there's a lot of interesting fun facts related to this particular run. When it came out, and it was the first, like, simply just Spider-Man, no subtitle, with the first one published at the time in 9 years. Yes, I'll be discussing that and other stuff related to it when I get to it. So, Spider-Man we're almost done with. Just a couple more mini-series, and that's it. Yep. And I don't know what to place this one. I have no idea. I'll decide in the future. Okay? So yeah, that's it for the review. Next up, Super Sentai. Get this view. Bye.